everyone and welcome to Creative Cakes by Sharon. Today I've teamed up with a good friend of mine, Laurie from the Icing Artist, and together we've both made some baby themed cakes to share with you guys. Laurie's made this gorgeous little elephant cake topper, and if you stay tuned till the end of my video, I'm going to leave the link to Laurie's tutorial as well as her channel. And today I'm going to share with you how I made this gorgeous little baby block cake. Now it's not just an ordinary block cake. If I open the cake inside, you'll see an inside surprise. And there was a little clue of what was inside the cake on top of my cake here. Now while this cake is a baby themed cake, of course, you could always use it as a gender reveal cake by changing the little colour inside to reveal your surprise and perhaps keep all the other colours neutral on the cake. Now guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure that you click on the subscribe button before you forget so that you don't miss out on any of my creative cake tutorials just like this one. So let's get started.
So to start with, I have a store-bought vanilla cake mix here which I'm preparing just according to the instructions. Then to this I'm going to add a touch of colour using this beautiful Jade green food colouring. At this stage, if you wanted to use this cake as a gender reveal cake, you could use blue or pink food colouring. Once the batter is mixed evenly, I'm going to divide it between two shallow slice trays. Make sure that the cake batter has been spread out nice and evenly and give the pans a few taps on the bench before placing them in the oven. Now remember, the cakes are fairly thin so they won't take long to bake, so don't take your eyes off them. Now here are the cakes after they've been baked, and once I remove them from the oven they need to be allowed to cool fully. It's also a good idea to pop them in the fridge or even in the freezer to speed up this process. Now to create my little surprise centre, I have a few different baby themed cutters to choose from, and because the rocking horse is my favourite, I'm going to choose this one. So all I need to do now is cut out as many rocking horses from my two cakes as I can. Here I have another batch of plain vanilla cake batter, a lined tin, as well as a couple of pan extenders which I've made, as well as my rocking horse cutouts. Using a wooden skewer, I've created a stack of rocking horses and I'm going to place them in the centre of my cake tin and fill the tin with the cake batter. Because I want to create a cube of cake, I made these cake pan extenders using some cardboard which I covered with foil and then with non-stick baking paper. This helps to extend the size of my tin without any of the cake batter spilling out. Now once I've poured in all of the batter, I just need to ensure that it has fully covered the green rocking horses, as this batter is going to keep the cakes nice and moist in the centre. Make sure to give the pan a few good taps to release any air bubbles, and it's off to the oven again. Once the cake has been cooked, I need to remove it from the pan and wait until it's fully cooled. It's time to take a closer look at what's inside, so I'm going to shave off just the top crust of my cake first. Now once I cover the cake, I won't have any idea which side is the front, so I'm going to insert a toothpick in the front top of the cake, which I can remove a little bit later on. Now because I want a perfect cube shape, I have a set square here which is going to help me check the sides of my cake, and I need to shave off little bits at a time to make sure all the sides are the same size. Now I need to apply some white chocolate ganache to the cake, and sometimes covering a square cake with frosting or ganache is a little tricky, so I'm going to show you an easy way to do it. First I need to apply a nice thick layer of ganache to two opposite sides, making sure the ganache hangs over the top and side edges of the cake a little. Then holding a cake scraper vertically against the cake, I'm going to slowly drag it across the side of the cake, removing the excess ganache. If you find there are any little spaces where the ganache is a little bit uneven, you can simply apply a little bit more and then scrape over the top again to smooth it out. The cake then needs to go into the fridge for just a few minutes so these edges that are hanging over the side can firm up a little. After a few minutes in the fridge, the ganache is nice and firm, and using a knife or spatula dipped in some hot water, I'm going to glide it along the edge of the cake, trimming off the excess ganache. You can see I'm left with some nice sharp edges already. Before I start to ganache the two remaining sides of the cake, I'm going to reposition my toothpick to the top of the cake so it's not in the way. After the ganache is applied, once again I need to scrape off the excess first to get a nice smooth surface, then pop it in the fridge to firm before using a hot spatula to trim off the sides again. Before covering the top of the cake with ganache, I need to remove the toothpick, and I'm going to dab a little ganache on the board so I still know where the front of the cake is. Once I've covered the top of the cake and smoothed it out, it goes back in the fridge one last time to make it easy to trim off the overhanging edges of ganache. Even though this cake goes back and forth from the fridge just a few times, it's a lot easier method than going back and forth with a spatula continually trying to get a nice sharp corner. Finally, the fun can begin, and I'm going to cover the whole cake one side at a time with some white fondant. Each time I apply the fondant, I add a little bit of water to each side first to help the fondant stick properly. It's easy to trim the fondant on each side now using a blade by just running it along those nice straight edges of the cake that we've already created. To decorate my block, I chose 3 neutral colours, and I'm going to cut some strips of each colour to create a border on each side. To get a nice neat corner, I've simply overlapped the strips of fondant and cut on the diagonal right through both pieces of fondant. Then by simply removing the bottom and top little pieces, I can join both strips together perfectly. I'm going to add the word baby to my block, so I have a template here, and before I go cutting out my fondant, I'm just going to measure it up against my block to make sure it fits nicely into the space I've got left. I can use this template to cut out the fondant letters using 2 tones to give a shadow appearance. Now I can remove the little dab of ganache I placed on the board earlier and stick the letter B as the start of the word baby on that side, because now I'll know that that's the front side of my cake. Finally, I'm going to place a rocking horse on top, which I've cut out of some of the nice jade green fondant, using the very same cutter I used to create the surprise that's hidden on the inside. Now for the moment of truth. We can cut into the cake to reveal what's hidden inside. Now just imagine the anticipation and the excitement there would be if this was actually a gender reveal cake. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a fun one to make, and there are a few good techniques you can learn from this tutorial that will help you to not only make your own inside surprise cake, but also how to create a perfectly cube-shaped cake quite easily. Now guys, as promised, this video was part of a collaboration with my good friend Laurie from the Icing Artist, so be sure to go ahead now and check out her adorable little elephant cake topper. While you're there, make sure to subscribe to Laurie's channel, as she has heaps of amazing cake tutorials for you to have a look at as well. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe and connect with me on any of my social media to see what else I get up to, or just leave a comment below. I hope you can check out some of my other videos, and as always guys, thanks for watching.